Power doesn't announce itself. It just exists. While most people are busy trying to prove themselves, posting online, seeking approval, working overtime to be noticed, you can be operating on a completely different level, not through doing more, through being smarter about how you show up. Here's what they don't tell you. Real influence isn't built in dramatic moments. It's built through hundreds of small, smart choices. Machiavelli figured this out centuries ago in Italy, where leaders rose and fell not through force, but through invisible moves made before anyone even thought about fighting. Today, I'm breaking down those moves for you. 10 practical strategies that separate people who control their environment from people controlled by it. No fluff. No empty motivation speeches, just the real mechanics of influence, broken down so you can use them. Ready? Like this video and subscribe to the channel, then comment, "I build power" below. Let's get into what actually makes people respect you. Strategy 1. Project rock-solid certainty. Your brain works by predicting what happens next. So does everyone around you. Master this, and you control the room. Here's what most people accidentally broadcast. Doubt. Their voice goes up at the end of sentences, turning statements into questions. Their eyes dart around, looking for approval. Their hands fidget, showing everyone they're uncomfortable even when they're trying to hide it. You're going to eliminate all of this. When you remove these doubt signals, the voice wavers, the ums and uhs, the approval-seeking glances, you become the stable point in an unstable room. People naturally orient around you because their brains are looking for something solid to latch on to. This isn't regular confidence. Confidence goes up and down with your mood. This is engineered certainty, deliberately removing confusion from how you present yourself. The mechanics. When you speak, your voice should go down at the end of sentences. Statements drop, questions rise. When you consistently drop your voice, you train people to hear your words as facts, not suggestions. Your movements should be slower and more deliberate. Fast movements signal anxiety and scrambling. Slow movements signal you own your time. You're not chasing anything. The world adjusts to your pace. This creates a mental anchor. In negotiations, arguments, any battle of wills, appearing certain wins. Not because you're actually right, but because dealing with uncertainty is exhausting for the brain. People default to certainty because it saves mental energy. You become the easiest path to a decision. Start here. Cut out one doubt habit today. Notice how differently people respond. Comment. Certainty is built, not born. Strategy 2. Control what you reveal. Information imbalance built empires. Total transparency builds trust in marriages. In power dynamics, it digs your grave. Every explanation you give away is leverage you lose. Every justification opens the door to negotiation. Every motive you reveal becomes a weak point someone can attack. Try this instead. Controlled secrecy, not lying, just being precise about what you share. Give people enough information to draw conclusions, but never the complete picture. Let them fill in the gaps themselves, with their own fears, hopes, and biases. The human brain hates missing information. When faced with gaps, it races to fill them in. Here's your weapon. What they fill in tells you how they think. The quiet person isn't weak. They're gathering information while everyone else is giving theirs away. Being hard to read gives you 3 advantages. First, unpredictability. They can't guess your next move. Second, insight. They reveal their assumptions, trying to figure you out. Third, seeming complex. Complexity looks like competence. How to do this? When asked direct questions, answer sideways. When pushed for explanations, ask a question back. When someone demands your reasoning, give them a piece that satisfies curiosity without showing your full hand. Why that choice becomes, what would you have done? What's your next move? Becomes, which outcome worries you most? You've gone from see-through to translucent. Light gets through. What's inside stays hidden. This frustrates people who control others by reading them perfect. Their frustration is your advantage taking shape. Master this, then comment. I give away nothing. Strategy 3. Use consequences wisely. The uncomfortable truth everyone dances around. Consequences are powerful tools. Used precisely, they create order. Used carelessly, they create enemies. The question isn't whether to use consequences, it's how much to use. Too harsh and people plot against you in secret. Too soft and people lose respect. The sweet spot is narrow. People need to feel weight without feeling trapped. This requires understanding how behavior works. Actions without consequences multiply. Consequences without consistency confuse. Consequences without balance radicalize. But proportional, predictable, inevitable consequences, they teach. You don't need to enforce rules constantly. You need to enforce them memorably. One clear response to a boundary violation teaches more than 100 small corrections. The goal isn't pain, it's clarity. Cross this line, this happens. Simple math, not emotion. The mechanics, figure out what people value. Access to you, your approval, opportunities, information. Then control the supply, not randomly, but through crystal clear cause and effect. Respect my boundaries, things flow. Cross them, they stop. This isn't manipulation, it's designing the terrain. You're not controlling people, you're setting up the environment. They choose their path. The environment just rewards certain choices and penalizes others. The critical piece most people miss. Consequences need pairing with value. People must see that being around you gives them something they can't get elsewhere. Consequences keep them aligned. Value keeps them close. Together they create the only bond that survives pressure, mutual benefit. When they fear losing you more than they fear you, you've got the balance right. Ready to design better consequences? Comment. I build clear systems. Strategy 4. Don't let them see you need anything. Needing something from someone flips the power dynamic instantly. This strategy requires rewiring your natural programming. We're social animals. We want approval, fear rejection, hunt for validation. These drives make us predictable. Predictable means easy to manipulate. The detachment protocol isn't about killing your emotions. It's about separating feelings from actions. Feel everything. Act from strategy, how it works. Someone insults you. Your body reacts. Stress hormones spike. Heart races. Thinking narrows. The amateur responds from this hijacked state, showing the attack landed. The professional notices the reaction, lets it pass, then responds strategically. The gap between what happens to you and how you respond is where all power lives. Train the gap. When criticized, pause. Take 3 breaths. Let the emotional wave rise and fall. Then calculate, does responding help me? If yes, respond. If no, stay silent. Either way, it's a choice, not a reaction. This builds a psychological wall. People test you by applying emotional pressure. When their pressure hits stone instead of soft tissue, they recalibrate. Normal manipulation didn't work. This person operates differently. Detachment prevents the most common power leak, showing you want something. Whoever wants something most always pays the highest price. In negotiations, conflicts, any exchange, desperation is expensive. By staying detached from outcomes, you ironically increase your chances of good outcomes. You can walk away. They sense this. That sense changes every calculation they're making. Try this. Pick one thing you want. Practice not wanting it, not pretending, actually releasing attachment to the outcome. Watch how your behavior changes. Watch how people respond differently. When you've mastered detachment, comment, "I need nothing." Strategy 5. Weaponize silence. Silence isn't the absence of communication. It's the loudest thing you can say. Most people fear silence like death. It makes them uncomfortable, so they fill it with noise, explanations, nervous talking, information spilling. You're flipping this completely. Strategic silence works on 3 levels. First, creating pressure. When you don't respond, their mind races to fill the void. Why silence? Did I mess up? Do they disagree? Are they planning something? This mental load tips advantage toward you. Second, information gathering. People reveal themselves trying to break silence. They offer more than asked, give up points you didn't challenge, expose real concerns while trying to read your reaction. Third, word amplification. When you speak rarely, people listen hard. Your statements carry weight not from content, but from scarcity. Rare things command attention. The technique requires discipline. In conversation, count 3 seconds before responding. Let silence stretch past comfort. Don't rescue people from awkwardness. Let them sit in it. In meetings, speak last when possible. Let others exhaust their positions. Then deliver the reframe that changes everything. But silence must pair with precision when you finally speak. No rambling, no filler. Each word chosen for impact. Short sentences, direct statements, no hedge words, "I think," or "maybe" signal doubt. Instead, "This is what happens next." Not "I think we should probably consider." The difference is everything. When your silence becomes an event, when people wait for your input, when rooms shift when you speak. You've installed this correctly. Practice now. Next conversation, cut your word count in half. Watch what changes, then comment. Silence is my language. Strategy 6. Engineer your presence. Presence isn't magic. It's mechanical. A calculable mix of body language, voice, space use, and timing that triggers unconscious status assessments in people watching you. You can reverse engineer it completely. Foundation, posture, straight spine, shoulders back but relaxed. Not stiff, structurally efficient. Your body should work with gravity, not fight it. Efficient movement reads as competent. Next, space use, don't shrink. Don't spread unnecessarily. Take the space your body needs, no more. This registers as natural dominance rather than forced display. Movement speed, 20% slower than average. Critical variable, fast movement, signals anxiety or rushing. Slow movement, signals you own time. You're not racing, you're setting the pace others match. Eye contact. Hold 3 seconds past comfort. Not aggressive, just sustained. Whoever looks away first has unconsciously submitted. This isn't about winning staring contests. It's about normalizing sustained attention. Voice, lower pitch, slower pace, downward tone at sentence endings, pause between thoughts. This creates perception of careful thinking rather than winging it. But here's the multiplier: presence, scarcity. Be less available. If you're everywhere, you're nowhere. The person who appears rarely, but memorably, imprints deeper than the constantly available person. Think about legendary figures, transformative leaders, iconic artists. They mastered selective visibility. When they showed up, it resonated. Between appearances, absence created hunger. You're implementing this at your scale. Reduce availability 30%. Respond slower to messages. Turn down invitations strategically. Not game playing, genuine priority management. Your time is limited. Treat it that way. When your presence changes room energy, you've implemented this correctly. Test this week. Then comment. I design my presence. Strategy 7. Build your leverage. Power flows through leverage points. Whoever controls what others need controls the relationship. This requires systematic thinking. Every person operates from a need structure: psychological, social, material, informational. Your job: identify which needs dominate your target, then position yourself as either provider or gatekeeper. This isn't manipulation, it's strategic positioning. Examples: someone values social status. You control access to high-status networks. Someone needs specific knowledge. You have information they lack. Someone craves validation. You're selective with approval. Keyword: selective. If approval flows freely, it becomes worthless. If access is unlimited, scarcity disappears. Scarcity isn't cruelty, it's economics. But leverage goes both ways. While you build it over others, they're trying the same against you. This is why detachment matters critically. Fewer needs equals fewer pressure points targeting you. Reduce dependencies systematically. Financial first, multiple income streams. Social second, diverse relationships. Emotional third, internal validation. As your dependency surface shrinks, your leverage surface grows. You become increasingly hard to pressure because there's nothing to grab onto. Here's your advanced move. Create fake dependencies. Let others think they have leverage. Then when they try using it, show it was illusion. This teaches them that leverage over you is unreliable, discouraging future attempts. Simultaneously, build real leverage quietly. Don't advertise advantages. Best leverage is the kind others don't know exists until you use it. Map your leverage today. Who has leverage over you? Who do you have leverage over? What can shift? Then comment. I control the variables. Strategy 8. Build fortress boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls. They're filters determining what gets in and what stays out. Most people have weak boundaries. They say yes when they mean no. They tolerate disrespect to avoid conflict. They accommodate others at their own expense. This generosity doesn't earn respect. It trains people to take more. You're installing a different system entirely. Effective boundaries work like immune systems. They identify what serves your mission and what threatens it. Then respond accordingly, welcoming helpful input, rejecting harmful input. The system has 3 parts: clarity, consistency, consequence. Clarity means explicit communication of expectations, not hoping others will guess your limits, not dropping hints. Direct statements. This is acceptable. This isn't. Consistency means enforcing boundaries every time, not when convenient. Inconsistent boundaries train people to keep testing. Maybe this time they'll allow it. Consequence means follow through. When boundaries are crossed, Something changes. Access contracts. Generosity withdraws. The relationship resets to less favorable terms. This isn't punishment. It's information transfer. The system works this way. Cross this line. Experience this result. But here's what separates amateurs from professionals. Boundaries must protect your capacity, not your ego. If a boundary exists because someone hurt your feelings, it's reactive. If it exists because protecting your time and energy serves larger goals, it's strategic. Ask yourself, does this boundary protect my effectiveness or my pride? One is power. The other is weakness. Strong boundaries, paradoxically, improve relationships. When people know exactly where lines are, they can operate freely within them. Unclear boundaries create anxiety. Everyone walks on eggshells, uncertain what's allowed. Your fortress should have clear gates, not vague moats. Implement one clear boundary today. Communicate it, enforce it, watch results. Then comment, my boundaries are non-negotiable. Strategy 9. Be strategically ruthless. The strategy most avoid acknowledging. Sometimes, calculated ruthlessness serves your interests better than endless accommodation. This doesn't mean cruelty for fun. It means willingness to make decisions others won't, impose costs others avoid, be the bad guy when your mission demands it. Most people optimize for being liked. This limits their options. They won't fire the incompetent friend. They won't end the draining relationship. They won't make the profitable but unpopular decision. You're playing a different game entirely. Strategic ruthlessness operates through surgical precision, not constant aggression. You're not cruel frequently. You're decisive when required. And the decisiveness is memorable enough that you rarely need to repeat it. Think about pruning trees. You don't randomly tear branches. You identify what's dead, what's draining resources, what's preventing healthy growth. Then you cut cleanly. The tree doesn't suffer. It thrives. Apply identical principles to your life. Relationships draining without giving back. Prune. Projects consuming energy without generating results. Prune. Habits stealing time without building capacity. Prune. When you cut completely. Half measures breed resentment. Clean cuts create clarity. The person you completely cut can move forward. The person you half cut becomes an enemy. This extends to conflict. When confronted, most people either submit or get emotional. Both are weak positions. The strategic response is controlled, overwhelming escalation. Someone disrespects you publicly. The response shouldn't match their energy. It should exceed it precisely enough to establish that this specific behavior has consequences they'll remember. Then return to normal. The contrast itself teaches the lesson. This isn't about being cruel. It's about being clear. Actions have consequences. Boundaries have teeth. Your kindness is a privilege you grant, not weakness they exploit. The person's never willing to be ruthless becomes everyone's doormat. The person always ruthless becomes isolated. The person strategically ruthless, kind by default, sharp when necessary, becomes formidable. Which will you be? Comment if you understand. I choose when to cut. Strategy 10. Integrate everything. Everything comes together here. Rock-solid certainty, controlled revelation, wise consequences, detachment, strategic silence, engineered presence, leverage building, fortress boundaries, strategic ruthlessness, 10 strategies, one integrated system. Individually, each technique gives small advantages. Combined, They create something qualitatively different. Systematic influence mastery. Not dominating others, mastering situations. You don't control people. You control variables that influence their decisions. This is psychological engineering. You're designing the environment where interactions happen, stacking probabilities in your favor. But here's what separates learners from masters: integration depth. These aren't tactics you consciously deploy. They become your operating system. Certainty isn't something you perform. It becomes baseline. Controlled revelation isn't a strategy you remember. It becomes how you naturally handle information. Boundaries aren't rules you enforce. They become automatic filters running in the background. This happens through deliberate repetition. Every interaction becomes practice. Every conversation, a lab. Every conflict, a refinement cycle. Start with one strategy. Master it until it's unconscious. Then layer the next. Through progressive integration, you're building a psychological architecture that operates automatically. And here's the final insight. This isn't about dominating others. It's about dominating yourself. When you control your certainty, information flow, emotional responses, presence, leverage, boundaries, you become someone others cannot easily influence. That's actual power, not making others bend, becoming unbendable yourself. When you reach this state, you don't chase influence. Influence accumulates around you naturally, like gravity pulling objects into orbit. The question isn't whether these strategies work. The question is whether you'll use them. If you've reached this point, you're different from the 99% who clicked away in the first minute. You have the blueprint now. The pattern is transferred. Comment, "I am the system," below. Subscribe to get every psychological strategy we release. This is weaponized knowledge, stripped of fluff, and distilled to pure mechanics. The only remaining question, will you build the fortress or stay exposed? The choice, as always, was yours before you even asked.